Shantae Williams.
And how can I assist you?
I just got off the phone with the United States Department of State, and they sent me a letter saying, "Thank you for your recent passport application. Unfortunately, you are ineligible to receive passport services because the Department of Health and Human Services certified that you owe child support." Now, as my recollection recalls talking to you actually about a week before I went to go and pay for my passport, I was told I was clear and I was eligible to get a passport. Now, the lady I just spoke with said that I should call the Department of Revenue and ask them to make sure that my name is no longer on the U.S. Department of Health and Services list. So there's something in the system that needs to be fixed. But
When did this call take place? How long ago was this?
today, right before I called you,
No. Not when you talked to them. When did you speak with me? You said.
I spoke with you
How long ago
before
was
I
this?
went to go and apply for a passport. I
Okay, how long
also
ago
I
was
also spoke with Governor DeSantis's people last March because
that? Okay, but
the
that's not
Department of
what
Revenue.
I'm asking.
I've
When did we supposedly speak regarding this passport?
a week before I went and got my passport application, which was
Okay,
in
when was
February
that?
last month. I would say the second week of February.
Okay. Do you mind if I place you on a brief hold while I review the case?
Sure.
Mr. Pileggi,
Yes, sir.
one moment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for holding. So I did review your case. I'm not sure exactly who it was that you spoke with, but it wasn't me. With all that being said, whoever you spoke with did not advise you of the correct thing, because
Well,
as
they
of right
said
now,
they said to call the Department of Revenue and to ask you guys how to get the number to the Department of Health and Services. Do you have the number to the Department of Health and Services?
that's not going to do anything regarding your issue. Your passport is denied due to child support. It's not because of health services. So basically, the reason why it's denied is because of the past due balance on the case. That enforcement action was taken against you. And once that enforcement action is taken by child support, the only way your passport can be released is if you pay in full the total amount owed on the case, or
Of
bring
what?
that balance to under
Of what?
2,500. The total balance owed is $61,417.20.
Sir,
Or
you're
bring that
you're
balance to
you're
under
telling someone
$2,500.
you're telling someone that's disabled collecting SSDI that I need to pay $61,000 to be eligible to get a passport?
I'm telling you that that's the stipulations of child support. Once we start reporting, well, not reporting the balance, but once that enforcement action is taken against you, the only way that your passport will be released is if that amount is paid in full or brought under a $2,500 balance, and then you can request the passport be released from the local office. The only other ways that your passport could possibly be lifted, or you could get a temporary relief on that, is if there was other circumstances, like you was traveling for work purposes, or there was death in the immediate, not death, but like death or sickness of
Sir, you're
relative.
Quincy, you're being recorded right now.
Yes, I know, and it's being recorded on my side as well.
So I hope your accuracy is on point, because when I spoke to your people at your office about getting my passport, I was told I was eligible. Why would I be told I was eligible?
I can't go off of what someone else told you. I can only go about what I know regarding the issue. And like I said, with your passport being denied as of right now, the only option you have to have that passport released is if
Do not tell me again. Do not tell me again. Do not tell me again I need to pay $60,000 or $2,500. I'm not going to sit here and let you repeat yourself.
I'm going to ask you to refrain or lower your voice, or either.
I don't want you repeating yourself that I owe money.
I'm only trying to assist you on.
And assist me by giving me a number and telling me who to talk to. Don't tell me that I owe money.
There's not another number for you to talk to, Mr. Legend.
So you're telling me there's not another number I can call? You're not going to suggest I call my Congress people?
There's nothing. The Congress members are only going to tell you to call us, because we're the ones that suspended your request that your passport be denied. There's nobody.
I'm waiting for you guys to get a modification court date so Mom and I can figure out who's going to get what money from the SSDI. I'm already waiting on a hearing from the Department of Revenue. You guys are garnishing money from me. You guys have garnished $2,000 from my SSDI, and Mom has not received a dollar of that. So while we're still waiting for you to modify this, I was approved to get a passport last March from the governor's office. So why a year later are you guys telling me I'm ineligible when I spoke with you a week before I applied for this?
That's not going to stop that enforcement action regarding your passport. I'm not sure what letter you got from the governor's office or anything like that.
I was cleared to be eligible to get this because I'm disabled and I don't pay child support. I was told to call you to get the number to the U.S. Department of Health and Services, and you're telling me you don't have that number.
Correct.
Why would the United States Department of State tell me to call the Department of Revenue to get information?
I can't advise you why the state told you to call us regarding to get another number. I can't tell you that. That's something.
They said that you need to call them because they're the ones that can take your name off of that list.
You need to call us because we're the ones that put your name on the list.
That name needs to be removed.
Not us giving you.
That name needs to be removed. How do I get that name removed? Because it's a mistake.
I just told you how to get your name removed.
You're telling me to pay money that I don't have. That's unconstitutional and it's
That's
illegal.
the only way to get your names removed regarding child support. There's no other way to do so.
So you lie to American citizens and tell them that they're eligible to get their passports so that after they pay and they get denied, they get told that they owe thousands of dollars?
I didn't lie to you. I can't base what I'm telling you now off of something that someone else told you.
Sir, you really think that I walked in with all the money to pay for a passport under the assumptions that I'm going to be denied after getting off the phone with the Department of Revenue, being cleared to go purchase this? You're insulting my intelligence. You're making the efforts that I put. You are making the efforts. You are making the efforts that I put forth to make sure before I go and get the money and the photo and everything I needed to do to get a passport meaningless.
No, that's not what I'm doing. And I apologize that you feel like that. I'm telling you what you have to do to have your life.
I'm not a fool, sir. I'm not a fool. You're not talking to a fool. When you tell me that I owe $61,000, I'm disabled, sir. You insulted a disabled American citizen that called and went through every single regulation he needed to do to be cleared to get a passport. This is insulting that you think you can repeat that I owe money that I don't have.
I mean, I understand, Mr. Palacio, but at this time, I've told you exactly what it's going to take to have that passport.
No, that's not what it takes. And you don't sound very informed, so maybe you should get a supervisor on the phone because I was told to get a number through you and you're not giving it to me.
I most certainly can get that supervisor for you. One moment.
My name is Miss Media, and I'll be happy to assist you. He was explaining to me that...
I just got off the phone with the United States Department of State, and they instructed me to call the Department of Revenue to get the number through the Department of Revenue for the U.S. Department of Health and Services so that my name could be taken off this list because you guys have made a mistake.
Okay.
I need my name removed because the Governor DeSantis last March told me I am eligible to get my passport because I'm disabled and because I'm waiting on Social Security. So now that mom is collecting Social Security from my disability and is receiving payments, I am not supposed to be on a can't fly list or not eligible to get a passport list. I've called the Department of Revenue to make sure I was eligible to get a passport before I paid for my passport application.
Okay, so let me see if I'm understanding you, Mr. Pilligan. Sorry for what you're going through, first of all, and let me see what I can do to help you. So you're saying that you spoke
I'm
to
telling you
Christina.
that I'm disabled. In 2018, they gave me the letter to give to the Department of Revenue to tell you guys that I'm disabled and that I would no longer have to make child support payments. In
Okay.
2019, I started collecting Social Security disability. In December, you guys started garnishing over $590 from my disability.
Okay.
So the money is still waiting to be dispersed to me and Mom because you are garnishing too much money from my disability. So for you to insult me and tell me that I'm supposed to be on this list and that I owe money, I'm not saying you said it, but your representative told me that I owe money that I do not owe. I'm not supposed to be on this list that I'm being told I've been put on.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry for what you're going through, but let me see what I can do to help you. And that's what I'm trying to repeat myself to make sure I understand
Ma'am,
you.
I asked him to give me the number of the Department of Health and Services to help me get my name removed from this list, and he told me he could not give me that number. So I asked to speak to a supervisor.
What number exactly? Cause
I don't know.
we're child
Ma'am,
support.
ma'am,
We're child support.
ma'am,
So exactly
the department,
what number is are you requesting?
the
What
Department
number
of Health and Services certified that I owe child support. So they're saying that I'm on a list because of the child support revenue. So the Department of Revenue needs to remove me from this list.
And I understand that part. So I'm trying to be in the same page. As you say, you have a letter. So let me ask you so I can better help you, Mr. Pilligan. You have to allow me to help you, okay? And I know you're like, I'll be frustrated like you are right now, but you have to help me to help you, okay?
Okay,
So
what do you
I won't
need?
be able to do that.
What do you need?
So you have that letter, and that letter has been faxed to us already to child support.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's the. Let me review first of all, okay? Let me review your case to see what can I do to help you.
Ma'am,
And then
I'm going
I
to
need
tell you
get-
right now, I don't want you telling me that I owe child support and that the only way to get a passport is if I pay $2,500 or $61,000. Do not insult me with what that last representative was regurgitating, because that's
Okay, Mr.
insulting.
Kennedy. If we don't know, that's when I'm going to review your case. If I don't know that what's going on to you, then we will need to get support documentation to get taking care of this for you. So let me see what I can do to help you.
Yes, before I call my Congress people.
Okay. Like I said, let me help you, and if you need to call them, then you have to call them. But
Please,
right now,
because
let me
this is
help you, see
illegal.
What I
What-
can do to help you,
This is
sir,
illegal
okay?
and it's unconstitutional.
Okay. Like I said, you have to do what you have to do. Right now, let me
Mommy,
help you, okay?
my passport
help you?
from when I was a child was mailed to Miami. I want my passport back, and I want my new passport because my new passport's my new ID. So
Mr.
please,
Belligan, let me see what I see so far that we have in the system. And if it's something that you need to provide, I'm going to ask
Mommy,
you to fax it
I
to us,
called
okay?
last month before I got my application to make sure through the Department of Revenue that I was eligible to get a passport. And Quincy was the man that I spoke with last month before I went and paid for it. And he told me that we never spoke and that's not true. So the Department of Revenue needs to stop lying, because not only did I record that conversation, but I recorded this one right now too.
Okay, we don't allow you to record phone calls, sir. We're not permitted to record the calls. We record the calls just for quality purposes. So, but right now, let me see what I can do to help you. I'm not allowing you to record this call. I'm not giving you permission for doing that. So, but I'll be happy to help you to get you this result.
I'm
Is that
recording
okay if I place
everything.
you in a brief hold? Sir, I'm not allowing you to record this call. But if you let me help you, I'll be happy to do that. Can I place you in a brief hold, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Can I place you in a brief hold?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Hello, thank you so much for your patience, Mr. Pelegis. So what so far I can see right now that you provide some documentation, and I see in regards to actually situation of you telling me that you were provided Social Security and all that for your disability. So what I can do for you is I can escalate this matter to let them know why they're still showing over there that is being reporting if we have an override on the system. I really cannot provide you why that may happen over there. That is, has not been removed. All I can see here, Mr. Pilligan, that there is an override for that.
There's an override for what?
Yeah, that means it shouldn't be showing over there like that you have the passport in place. In other words, like that there is some problem with your passport. In other words.
So are you saying that I should be eligible to get a passport?
It should be, yeah.
Because I'm disabled.
There is information in the system that should be override. That's correct, Mr. Pilligan.
So how am I going to get this? Because
you,
this is an emergency. My grandmother is in Venezuela and she's dying. I got a passport so I could go see her before she dies. I couldn't go see my grandfather in 2013 because I was working and I was paying child support. And I was told I'm ineligible to fly because of child support. And then in 2018, I had brain surgery and I got a letter from the doctor that said, you're permanently disabled. When I provided that letter to the Department of Revenue and was told, you don't have to pay child support ever again. Within 5 months, I called to make sure I could get a passport. They said no. I called the governor's office. The governors called the Department of Revenue, and then they sent me the letter and called me and said, you are eligible. That was last year.
Like I said, all I can do is apologize, Mr. Pellegrin. I don't know, like, from the Department of State why it's still showing there because I see that we closed the action already. So what I can do is escalate the matter for you and put a notation that you need to, are you going to be able to travel with the situation right now? Where you're traveling, so I can put a notation and send it over.
I haven't purchased my tickets yet because I wanted to make sure I had my passport in hand before I got it because I didn't know if the Department of Revenue was going to do something like this. And look at what's happening to me. I'm stuck at home. I can't even see my children.
Yes, sir. And I'll be happy to help you to take
This is an emergency.
Okay?
This is an emergency.
Yeah. I'm just going to send an email, Mr. Pellegrin, to the local office so we can get this matter taken care of for you the fastest I can, okay? In Tallahassee office, but I'm going to escalate it in your behalf, okay?
So
I'll call back and see whatever needs to happen is, I see it that is closed. So why it's not reporting? What I can do is to let them know if they can get in contact with the Department of State to see what is going on from their side because over here it's closed. There's no action anymore. It's been closed and being updated. So why it's not showing down there, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Thank you.
What we can do is get in contact with them again to get if we need to send whatever we need to send so it can be fixed.
Well, the number on this paper says I can call them at
Do you have like an email or phone number over there that you can provide it to me?
I have a phone number on this letter from the U.S. Department of State saying if you have any questions, please contact the National Passport Information at 1-877-487-2778.
Okay, I got the 877-2778, but in the middle it got cut off. And
oh, sorry. It's 1-877-487-2778.
I got it correctly now. 1-877-487-2778.
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any other information in there that can help me to send this with the
yes.
request?
It says my reference number is 423 837 090.
Okay. Let me repeat it to you. Okay, Mr. Pellegrin?
Yes.
I got 423 837 090.
Okay. And you were a supervisor, right? What was your name?
I'm part of the management team. My name is Milagros. I'm the only with that name in here, so there's no way for you not to, you know, can find me very easily because I'm the only one with that name.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do for you is I'm gonna escalate this matter to the actually local office, which is the manager, the administrator at that office that managed your case, which is Hillsborough County.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna also ask them to give you a call back.
Yes.
We're trying to get this taken care of. We manage everything from the phones and faxes and mail right now because all our businesses, our child support office are closed, even though they're working internally, but they're closed to the public due to the virus.
Right.
So we're trying to accommodate and work the fastest we can. So I'm going to escalate it today. I'm going to request it today. So I'm going to send that it's very urgent that you need to travel. We don't recommend to travel right now. I'm just thinking on your safety. But, you know, sometimes we have to do what we have to do. But regardless, we need to get this taken care of for you.
Yes, because this is my ID.
I understand.
And my passport in Miami from when I was a child is still,
Okay.
I don't know where it is. So they asked me to give them my most recent passport,
Okay.
and I gave them one from when I was in 1990s. So I want to know if I'm gonna get that back and what's gonna happen. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
At least we can do it from our part here to help you, and then and then somebody from the state can if you need to take another picture or whatever needs to happen. That's something that from the Department of State can work it out with you. But at least it's already lifted. There's no restriction or nothing in there that prevents you to get it. Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Is there anything else, Mr. Pelliger, that I can help you today?
No. When should I call back to check up on this?
You can actually you can check in 7 to 10 business day, but I'm gonna ask them if they can call you sooner. So I'm gonna escalate it today.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. My pleasure. And I'm sorry that probably the representative didn't look the override section that he should have looked at first there. So that's why he couldn't provide you with the accurate information. Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Have a blessed day and be safe. Okay, Mr.
Thank you.
Pelliger?
You too. Be safe. Bye now.
Bye.